Welcome back to Pro Sex Studios. I'm still Brian Downs, and in this video we're going to be discussing the grinding horror show that is the movie Magic Mike. This is what I'm talking about. If there's one movie I've examined so far that really shows what I am talking about so clearly that it cannot be denied, it's this thing. Hey, you get to see Channing Tatum's butt! Yeah, congratulations on that. And it comes with a giant dose of sexual anxiety and guilt. This movie, watching it for me was like watching Psycho. It was just a dread of tension the whole time. It's not fun. It's not what? It's not fun. It's not even that sexy. The movie starts with a scene that has nothing whatsoever to do with the narrative. Zero zip, you could have cut it out. Dallas is the owner of Exquisite, the strip club in Tampa. He's played by Matthew McConaughey. He's up on stage and he's listing all the things that the female audience is not allowed to touch. They can't touch the dancers here or here or here. We're going to start with a list of what's prohibited. We're going to start with a list of what's illegal, of what you can go to jail for doing. We're going to start with a list of sex crimes. But then Dallas says, but I think I see a lot of lawbreakers up in this house tonight, and I don't see a cop inside. So, shame, prohibited, illegal, but you're going to do it anyway because I'm shaking it in your face. You see how you can't escape? You can't be good in any way. So, sex is a bad thing. 1 minute 22 seconds into the film, a placard informs us it's June and Mike is getting up in the morning and he walks in front of the camera, full rear nudity. He's a magnificent physical specimen and a very good looking man, played by Channing Tatum of course, on his way to the bathroom apparently to take a dump. So what he's doing isn't, he's not having sex, there's nothing sexy about the scene except that he's nude. So you see how this is a bait and switch? There really isn't much sex in this movie about sex. So, cut to him talking to Joanna, played by the gorgeous Olivia Munn. Joanna is in his bedroom, and she's bare-breasted, but she's not doing anything sexual. I mean, we see her breasts for half an hour, if you pause the video in the right place. But she's not doing anything sexual. In fact, she's complaining, I have to go commando today because someone, meaning Mike, tore off my favorite panties last night. She's complaining about the sexual encounter she had last night with this Greek god. She's complaining. That's what we start with. Her complaining. We went from Dallas telling you what's illegal about sex to Joanna complaining about the sex she had last night. And, by the way, she's getting dressed. She's putting those beautiful tits away. Now, Joanna is in a sexual relationship with Mike. She calls Mike up for sex and apparently threesomes with strangers, which we're going to learn about in a second, every now and then. Joanna certainly likes to have sex and seeks it out, and we're going to find out later that Joanna is a villain. This is one of my negative memes. I have 12 negative memes, as you know from watching this channel. 12 negative memes that constantly reappear telling you why sex is bad, designed to condition you to feel terrible about your own sexuality if you watch enough movies. And negative meme number 4, negative meme number 5 is, it's villains who sex. Bad people, villainous characters like sex, pursue sex, get sex, enjoy sex. Now, there's a third person in the bedroom, a remarkably beautiful woman that we see in the nude from behind, a very shapely ass on her, lying in the bed, face down with one hand twisted underneath her, uncovered by the sheets in this awkward position. Magic Mike and Joanna are moving about the room and talking to one another. They don't remember what that woman's name is. They say to one another, do you remember her name? I don't remember her name. Joanna actually kicks the bed and yells, Penelope, just guessing at a name. The woman in the bed doesn't move. The woman in the bed is posed and staged like she's dead, like a murder victim, laying there in this awkward position, stripped of her clothes, not covered in blankets like a person who, has deliberately gone to sleep would be covered in blankets, faceless, nameless. The scene closes. I'm not kidding. You can go and watch this film yourself. It's available in various ways. I got my disc from Netflix. The scene closes with Mike saying, well, whatever her name was, she was fun. She's in the past tense now. Like she's dead. This scene is not, well, say that you see some nudity, but there's no sex going on. No one says, my, what an enjoyable encounter we had last night. And it's staged as if this third person is a corpse. Wow. Negativity, negativity. Sex is danger. Danger is sex. That's one of the memes, of course. And it's negative meme number 4. Your problem is sex. For Mike, it's your problem is sex. If protagonists have sex, seek sex, want sex, it's portrayed as their character flaw. This is what's wrong in Mike's life. His involvement in sex, whether it's his own actual sex life or whether it's his involvement in his job as a sex worker, as we're going to find out later. So the next thing that happens is Magic Mike goes to his day job as a roofer, and he's going to meet Adam, who I will refer to after this as the Kid, because that becomes his stage name when he becomes a male stripper along with Magic Mike. The Kid, by the way, is a jerk-off from Go. The Kid advertised on Craigslist as someone who knows how to tile a roof. He doesn't know how to tile a roof. He gets fired from this job on day 1. He's 19 years old, and he's a jerk-off from the start. But Mike befriends him and drops him off at home that night. The Kid is sleeping on his sister's couch. Now, his sister is named Brooke. She is a nurse's assistant, I think, in the medical field. She's played by Cody Horn. And Brooke wants her brother to get a job and move forward in life. We're going to learn later, by the way, that her brother screwed up a football scholarship and got bounced off the team and out of school. But Brooke invites her brother, the Kid, to join her at dinner with Paul. Now, who is Paul? Excellent question. Paul is a young man, approximately Brooke's age. But Brooke never says, Paul is my boyfriend, my husband, my lover, my bang buddy, my friends with benefits. She never uses any words that imply a sexual relationship between her and Paul. Well, with one exception, and we'll talk about that later. It's near the end. Stay tuned for that. Oh, hey, by the way, I should start these videos by saying please like and subscribe and share and talk to your friends and family about these videos. And if you don't want to talk to your friends and family about these videos, then tell me why in the comments. Anyway, they go to dinner. Who is Paul? Well, she's a guy that Brooke knows, but not her lover, apparently. Brooke never uses any word to describe Paul that would imply a sexual relationship. Paul never uses any word for Brooke to imply a sexual relationship. No other character ever does that. The Kid never says, my sister and her boyfriend Paul, my sister and her fiancé Paul. Never happens. So they're at dinner, and Paul is literally sitting closer to the Kid than he is to Brooke. And Paul is boring. Paul is talking in disinterested tones about his work in the insurance industry, and he's boring Brooke and the Kid to tears. And there's no eroticism between Paul and Brooke, no passion of any kind. They don't touch. The Kid gets bored enough that he gets up and walks out. Brooke, in the meantime, treats Paul with about as much interest as she treats the salt shaker. And by the way, we find Paul to be just about that interesting. What is this? This is negative meme number 4, Serious People Don't Sex. The movie is setting Brooke up to be Mike's love interest. Therefore, she has to be, as far as we can tell, a virgin. The movie implies that she's in a relationship with Paul, but not really. The only thing that implies that they're in a relationship is that she knows his first name and they sit across a dinner table from each other. We don't see them make love. We don't see them go to bed together. We don't see them embrace or kiss or any other thing. We don't see them refer to a sex life because, number 4, serious people don't sex. Brooke is our angel, and therefore she can't be having a sex life. Adam gets so bored he just walks out of the restaurant. They're in Ybor City, which is the entertainment district of Tampa, which incidentally is about a 90-minute drive from where I'm sitting. And Adam happens to bump into Magic Mike out on the town. And through this chance encounter, winds up working at the strip club. And we find out that Mike is a male stripper, and he works at Exquisite for Dallas. And it's 21 minutes into the movie when we see the first big dance number. It's Raining Men. Now, this is interesting because 5 strippers go out on stage. Channing Tatum, 4 other guys, all of them fit, handsome, muscular, good-looking guys. They look great. The audience is screaming. The audience seems to be having a great job. The choreography is well done. Hey, everybody's having fun with it. This looks like sex might be fun, except it's not actually sex. It's men pantomiming sex and nudity, but not actual sex. It's 27 minutes into the film that the kid gets pushed out on stage to make his debut as a last-minute fill-in because another performer is unconscious. Got so wasted he can't stand up. Until now, the kid has been working as an assistant or prop man at Exquisite. The kid starts off very awkwardly, but he soon warms up to it and he even kisses one of the girls in the audience. As soon as he comes off stage, Dallas corrects him. Never kiss the girls, kid. That's Performer 101. So, pretending sexuality, demonstrating your sexuality, putting your body on display, that's okay. This pantomime is okay, but actual physical contact, actual sexual contact is forbidden at Exquisite. Although all of the male strippers are banging customers all the time. 4 minutes of screen time later, the kid is receiving oral sex from a young woman who hung around after the show, while Mike hooks up with her friend. But the sex here is very brief. It's implied. It's kind of art house. It's, with shadows and camera angles. You don't really see anything happening. There's very little sex in this movie about sex, because what this movie is what I like to call admonishing pornography. It says, hey, look at all these abdominal muscles, look at these cheekbones, look at these sexy men thrusting their hips and dancing in front of these women who they are driving to the heights of desire and wantonness. And then it shakes its finger in your face and says, no, 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 bad. How dare you look at this? You should reevaluate your life. Go, pause the video, go and reevaluate your life. Then come back and finish, because I'm not done yet. So now the kid's in the business. Now the kid is on the stage, and we get a long sequence of discomfort with sex as the kid gets coached in dancing by Dallas, who is very physical with him, and that's kind of weird for him. The kid selects his first costumes, and the kid gets discovered by his sister Brooke while he's shaving his legs in the bathroom, and there's a box full of thongs and sailor hats in the living room, and Brooke thinks that he's gay. He's not. So this is all awkwardness and discomfort with sex. Long sequence of that goes on for a good 10 minutes. Culminating in a return to the club, where the kid is now on stage doing a cowboy-themed number, and his sister is in the audience. The kid doesn't know she's there. She's just come down to see what this is all about, and she is disapproving. Her facial expression is disapproving, and when Mike notices her in the audience and approaches her and tries to chat her up because Mike is attracted to her, she lets Mike know how disapproving she is, and she's still disapproving in the audience when Mike goes on stage next. And there's a long sequence where Mike is dancing and taking his clothes off, and Brooke starts to look less and less disapproving. This is the only moment, really, where we're laying groundwork for Brooke's attraction to Mike, and he looks like Channing Tatum, doesn't he? So he's up there doing his thing, an extremely handsome man, very sexy, expressing his sexuality. Brooke is just staring at him. Why shouldn't she be attracted? But this, of course, is negative meme number 4, your problem is sex. In a protagonist, any sexual desire, even this small scrap of it, displayed in an expression, is a bad thing. But her expression moves from interested to back to disapproving as Mike picks a woman out of the crowd and starts grinding on her, until finally she turns and leaves. New placard, July. 4th of July, sandbar party. Mike shows up at Brooke's apartment to drag the kid off the couch and say, we're going to the sandbar party, and he invites Brooke along at the last moment, which seems kind of strange because Mike is clearly interested in Brooke, so that he only issues this invitation at the last possible minute is odd, but there it is. Brooke winds up at the sandbar party in a rather small bikini. You got an invitation with 5 minutes to spare, and you wind up wearing this bikini. Could have worn shorts and a t-shirt, could have worn shorts and a t-shirt over your bikini. Didn't. Winds up wearing a bikini. Apparently she had that bikini ready to go. And everyone pretends like that's an accident. Everyone pretends it's not happening, that she's in this very sexy swimsuit. You know, this is clearly Brooke responding to Mike, by the way. That Mike shows up and says, you want to go to the beach for the day, basically. And Brooke says, let me wear this very small bikini. But turns out Joanna is at the party. You remember Joanna from the aftermath of the threesome earlier in the film. Joanna approaches Brooke, is introduced to Brooke, and once Brooke leaves, uncomfortable with how direct Joanna is, Joanna tells Mike, oh, Brooke is cute. And Mike replies, yeah, but she's not really our type. Do you know what I'm saying? Joanna says, you're not into her? Mike says, no, that's not what I'm saying. So he does not claim to not be into her, which is the same as saying he is attracted to her. He says, I'm saying that she's a little uptight. Joanna says, okay, well, we're fucking her, we're not taking her to dinner. Notice the dichotomy that Joanna presents, right? We can either have sex with her, or we can socialize with her. I've got a piece of wisdom that I want all of you to listen to carefully. Turn up the volume, okay? Right now, look carefully at my face. Sex is social activity. You're doing it with other people. You have to be. If you're not, you're masturbating, which is fine. Go ahead. Pornhub is a few clicks away. What I'm saying is, sex is a social activity. There is no dichotomy. We can either have sex with her or we can take her to dinner, right? That's what she's saying. What she's saying is, let's have sex with her, not take her to dinner. Why not both? Is this not possible? The movies generally presented as no. The movies generally present the sort of woman you take to dinner as someone you're not having sex with, even if she's your wife. And Mike immediately reinforces that idea. Mike says, that's not going to happen. She's the dinner type, is what I'm trying to say. She's the type you can socialize with. She's the type you can love, not the type you have sex with. These are two different types. That's not true. And that's one of the most pernicious and corrosive ideas that we've inflicted on ourselves in our mass media. And it's negative mean number 4, serious people don't sex. Brooke is the angel. Brooke is the virgin, as far as we can tell. Brooke's relationship with Paul is lacking all eroticism. She doesn't even refer to Paul, who is off screen 99% of the time. Doesn't even refer to him as her boyfriend. Notice, by the way, Joanna is the only woman whose tits we've seen. And she's the villain. Not a coincidence. 58 minutes into the film. Different scene. The kid is wasted and Mike is kind of carrying him home to Brooke's apartment. Brooke opens the door, the kid staggers in. Mike tries to enter, but Brooke physically moves and stands in front of him and puts her hand up. And then we get a reverse angle into the room and we see Paul, the man Brooke sometimes socializes with, but who is not apparently her boyfriend or fiance, because no one uses those words. Paul is sitting at the kitchen table. Across the room, Brooke is physically standing closer to Mike than she is to Paul. She and Paul don't even appear in the same shot, much less touch. They don't embrace, they don't kiss, nothing. We don't see anything of that. The only thing that suggests any kind of eroticism between Brooke and Paul, any kind of romance, is that there's 2 wine glasses on the table. That's it. Brooke doesn't even refer to Paul. She doesn't even introduce Mike. Mike whispers to her, is that Paul? And Brooke's like, yes. And then she, shoos Mike away. Again, absolutely nothing in that scene to suggest that Paul is, except for the wine glasses, nothing in that scene to suggest that Paul's her boyfriend or her lover. Notice this as well. Brooke is very beautiful. And as far as we can tell, doesn't have sex. This is one of my negative memes, sexy celibates. movies are full of people who are very beautiful, very attractive, would have no problem being in a sexual or romantic relationship, would have no end of partners talking to them or applying for the position if they made any effort in that direction, but they don't. Beautiful, very attractive people who somehow don't have any relationships at all. See Black Widow in my Marvel videos. I did a whole series of videos on MCU characters. Check that out on the channel. So Mike, having been shooed away from Brooke's place, goes home and calls Joanna, the grad student. She comes over, she has sex with Mike, but she deflects and avoids questions about her life, about how her college is going. She's studying psychology. She'll be graduating in 6 weeks. And then she leaves. And she will start avoiding Mike afterward. She, in fact, ghosts Mike right afterward. 1 hour, 8 minutes into the film, there's a hurricane party at Dallas's home. Now, Dallas has been talking throughout the movie about moving the club to Miami. It's kind of strange. It seems like he's talking about moving the strip club to Miami in South Florida, but not actually moving the club, not opening a second location. Seems like a strange business strategy, but that's going to be great. Mike is going to be an equity partner and everything's going to be wonderful, and Dallas is a fast-talking dickhead. But there's a hurricane party at Dallas's house, and this is where the kid meets a woman named Nora, who is very beautiful and very va-va-boom and very sexy and has no last name and has no other function except as a harbinger of doom. The only thing Mike says to the kid about Nora is, "I don't think you need that in your life, bro." What makes Nora worse than any other woman we've seen so far? Aside from Brooke the Angel, of course. But in spite of that advice, the kid shortly finds himself in a four-way encounter with Nora, his co-worker from the club, Ken, and Ken's wife, who I will call Mrs. Ken because the movie does not give her a name in the dialogue. She doesn't even introduce herself. The kid is led into a bedroom by Nora, and Ken is lying there in his boxers, and Mrs. Ken is topless, and that's the second pair of female breasts we've seen in the film. And Ken hands out some pills he refers to as demons. They all get high, and then they are going to have this sexual encounter. We're not going to see the sexual encounter, of course. But notice that sexuality is tied up like this with substance abuse. This is another thing. This is very, very common, that sex and drug abuse or alcohol abuse, or both, are presented as basically being the same thing, as going hand in hand. That is negative meme number 2. Danger is sex. Sex is presented as dangerous, as synonymous with other kinds of danger. Sex is presented as synonymous with substance abuse or murder or psychopathy or any number of other things. In this case, it's substance abuse. Now, the other sexual encounters that have been implied in this film, because remember, we don't see hardly any sex in this film about sex. The other sexual encounters, people have just kind of tumbled into, apparently. But this one is very deliberate. Ken says, yeah, absolutely. Hey, look at my wife. Isn't she beautiful? Why don't you touch her? Put your hands on her. And Mrs. Ken is like, yeah, come on. You know, very clearly the kid is being invited into this encounter. And Mrs. Ken is topless. We see her breasts. And this encounter is a pivot point in the kid's story. He's going to go downhill from here. He's going to get more involved with drugs. He's going to get into financial problems. He's going to have problems with gangsters. This is where that starts, with the second pair of tits in the movie. Notice, too, that this encounter is deliberate, right? As I was just saying, deliberate. Mr. and Mrs. Ken clearly invite the kid into this encounter. And this is the worst one. When people make actual decisions about sex, your problem is sex. That's one of the negative memes. Also, The Wanting Disaster is negative meme number 1, and you could have called this movie The Wanting Disaster. Having sex, pursuing sex, being interested in sex often leads to bad results. Notice that in this scene, Ken and the kid and Mrs. Ken all say to one another, "I love you." They repeat it, I love you, man, I love you, before they have sex, which again we don't see. The camera cuts away. We don't get to see the sex in this movie about sex. They're the only characters to ever say I love you to one another in this whole film. In this moment where the kid's life tips over the cliff. So, August, says the next placard. Mike and Brooke are spending time together in some kind of outdoor area, public park or something like that, drinking some sodas, talking. She's teasing him about being a sex worker. Their attraction is subtextual, but it's there, it's clear to us, and certainly both of them are feeling it. They don't speak honestly to each other about how they feel. No, of course not. Can't do that. Can't talk to people about how you feel about sex. They've known each other for a few months. They're clearly very comfortable with one another. They are walking alone in the park, drinking sodas. Mike asks her if she would like to get some food sometime. Brooke says, "What do you mean, like a date?" Mike says, "No, if you don't want to call it that, no." They're already on a date. They're walking together under the, in the sunshine, drinking some sodas, talking privately about their lives and their ambitions and their dreams. You're on a date. That's a date. Astonishing to me how people can't see this. You're on a date already. If this isn't a date, what is? Anyway, she says, no. Mike makes a reference to what's-his-name who moved to Orlando. That's Paul. Paul has apparently moved away. Paul's 2 hours down the highway now. When did that happen? We haven't heard a thing about that. Paul's not apparently very important. And notice here that he, Magic Mike, doesn't say, what about your boyfriend? What about that guy you were screwing? What about your lover? No. No words are used to describe Paul that imply a sexual relationship between Paul and Brooke. In fact, not by Mike, not by Brooke, not by anyone, because Brooke says, yeah, Paul and I are figuring things out, but she doesn't even refer to what things. Brooke has to be a virgin, serious people don't sex. Brooke tells Mike that she does not sport fuck her brother's stripper friends. Serious people don't sex. Mike denies that he was talking about sex. Hey, no, I wasn't talking about sex. I was talking about being friends. You were talking about sex and romance, Mike. You know it, she knows it, we know it. Why do people need to lie to each other about this? This moment between Mike and Brooke is broken up when the kid appears. Apparently he was in the area with them, and now Mike and the kid have to go off and do a performance. That invades. The kid invades Mike's life as a sex worker invades. And Brooke walks away from them. Shortly thereafter, Mike bumps into Joanna in a restaurant. He's surprised to see her. He thought she was out of town like forever. He's even more surprised to be introduced to Ryan, Joanna's fiance. It's villains who sex. Joanna seeks sex, wants sex, is obvious about it, showed us her breasts. She's a terrible person. And Mike's a dummy, by the way. Mike, this is a woman who calls you up once in a while, usually late at night, to come over and have sex and then leave. And you're surprised to find out there's something else going on in her life? You're surprised to find out that you were in an illicit affair? Do paint chips taste good? By the way, when Mike is introduced to Joanna's fiance, Ryan is sitting across the table from Joanna. He does not kiss her. He does not touch her. He shakes Mike's hand. He doesn't touch Joanna. There is almost no eroticism between them. This is one of my negative memes, number 9, celebrating celibate marriage. Marriage, or in this case, engagement to be married, is presented as totally sexless. Joanna and Mike and Ryan are all in public. There's no eroticism or sexuality displayed between Joanna and Ryan. And the movie heads rapidly towards its, close. I'm not going to say climax because there's nothing that fun. But the kid's involvement in narcotics gets to be more and more of a mess, and Mike is forced to buy the kid out of trouble with gangsters with the money he had saved to launch his own business. Mike wants to be a builder of custom furniture, but he has to spend that money to buy the kid out of trouble. The kid says he'll pay him back, but who knows if that's going to happen. And the movie winds up, the kid nearly overdoses, by the way, and which leads to Brooke throwing him out of her apartment, and Brooke being very angry with Mike for having led the kid into this situation. Although, frankly, I think the kid would have found his own trouble, Mike or not. I mean, he's an idiot. But anyway, Mike's relationship with Dallas sours, and Mike just walks out of the club one night. And with tears in his eyes, he drives over to Brooke's place. And he tells her that he's leaving the sex industry. And now Brooke is interested. When Mike renounces the sexuality in his life, being a sex worker, that makes Brooke interested in having a sexual relationship with Mike. You see how screwed up all this is? And, by the way, Brooke is interested in Mike for the same reason any other woman has been interested in Mike. He's very handsome. I want to point out, Brooke and Mike don't have a relationship. They don't have anything in common. They don't even share a hobby. They've had, as far as I can tell, about 4 conversations in the last 3 months. They haven't spent any significant amount of time together. Do they share political opinions, religious beliefs? Are they fans of the Star Wars movies? No, nothing. What do these people have in common? Nothing, except they're both good looking. Brooke is attracted to Mike for the same reason Joanna was. But know that Mike is no longer going to be a sex worker, then it's perfectly alright for Brooke to be attracted to him. And while they're sitting there at her kitchen table after dark, she announces that she broke up with Paul, who had moved to Orlando. This is the only time that Brooke uses language to suggest that she ever had a sexual relationship with Paul, the phrase, "I broke up with." Once that's over, she can refer to it like it was a sexual relationship. But this clears her to have sex with Mike because, of course, monogamy, I guess, although the fact that they're not at the moment involved with anyone else is fairly farcical. I mean, so what? You were both having sex with other people earlier in the phone. Never mind, doesn't matter. Now they're clear to have a relationship with each other. And their conversation becomes very flirtatious very quickly. Brooke is like, well, we could go out to breakfast, but there's only this place I go to. My favorite place is not open till 6 in the morning. And Mike like, that's 7 hours from now. And Brooke's like, yeah, what are we going to do for 7 hours? And the camera pulls back to a medium shot from behind them, you know, like a 3/4 view behind them. And she leans across the table and kisses Mike. Cut to black. Notice that they don't actually have sex. They don't have a sexual relationship. She kisses him one time. They don't go to the bedroom and fall down groping and kissing with passion in the bed. They're sitting at the kitchen table. She leans over and kisses him. Cut to black. That only implies a future sexual relationship. Serious people don't sex. And Mike is gaining wisdom. Mike is improving the less sex there is in his life. He's no longer seeing Joanna, that makes him a better person. He's no longer a sex worker, that makes him a better person. Brooke gets to finish the film having never touched a penis that we're aware of. Again, her relationship with Paul is absolutely soft-pedaled. It barely exists. And she doesn't seem to care about it in the least. This movie is anxiety and negativity and darkness from start to finish. No one is enjoying... Well, that's not true. Certainly Mike isn't enjoying his sex life. Brooke doesn't seem to be enjoying her sex life. The kid is enjoying his sex life, and that's presented as terrible. The wanting disaster, wanting sex, pursuing sex, desiring sex, negative meme number 1, leads to bad things, bad things, bad things, bad things. And at the end of the film, by the way, the kid gives a big speech to Mike like, hey, I'm having a great time. I'm making money. I'm having all the sex I want. And goes out on stage, you know, to proudly pursue those dreams. And he's dumb. Dallas is the owner of the club. Dallas is a villain. Joanna likes sex. Joanna is a villain. Mike is learning the less sex he has in his life and gets rewarded for leaving that sex behind with sex with Brooke. Except we don't see that sex. Negativity all the way. The only people who are enjoying their sex lives are drug addicts and idiots. Everyone else is tormented by theirs. This movie is sex negativity from start to finish. It lures you in with, oh, look at these thrusting buttocks. Look at these handsome guys. And now let us lecture you. Now let us come down on you like a Catholic schoolmaster. Why? Why are we bombarded with this message at every turn, even in an R-rated movie that's allegedly about sex in which millions of women went to see for the sexual content, but also a big, steaming ladle of shame? What do you think? Am I wrong? I'm right, by the way, but you've got an opinion. Put it in the comments. Please like, please subscribe. I do videos like this every week, examining well-known films, recent films, and some classics for how they view sexuality. This is Pro Sex Studio. I'm Brian Downs. By the way, I've written some books and done some audiobooks, some fiction, not related to this kind of nonfiction analysis, but they are on Audible.com and Amazon. Search for my name there. Search for the titles The Berlin Fraternity, The Carrefour Crisis, and Red Sleeper.